pleasure to talk to you about this film. It's interesting to dive into the Marvel universe. So what did you learn about it, being part of it?
That I knew less than I thought I did. There's so many characters that I didn't even know that my son knows, because I didn't grow up, reading comic books or whatever. I was like I was a skateboarder, and I, played a lot of sports and stuff. So my son obviously can read better than I can, and he's 6. But there's a whole realm, and there's a whole tone of like Marvel movies and Marvel comics that go hand in hand. And I watched all the Iron Mans and Thor and the Avengers and movies like that to try to see the humor and how it plays, because it's funny, because when you do an action movie, you stop in and you're like, get out of here, and then you're like, make my day. Like, that thing it's kind of cool and funny, but it doesn't work in a Marvel movie. So you got to kind of flip it around a little bit.
Well, talking about the comedy is interesting, because in this one, a little bit like it was in Guardians of the Galaxy, the humor is kind of heightened. It's much more part of the storytelling. So how easier is it for you when it's comic?
It's not. I'm like, because I mainly do drama, and so I'm used to making people cry.
That's your forte.
Well, I mean, like, I'm a sad person.
You are. It shows.
Yeah, exactly. No, but see, I grew up doing that. My big break was Crash, and then after that I did World Trade Center. They're not really super funny, those movies. And this is my third attempt. So I was, I was eager, but at the same time I was very nervous.
To tell us a little bit about, for our viewers, you kind of play Scott's best friend and support and kind of window into this opportunity.
Yeah, he thinks he's the boss. And he's Scott's best friend, and he helps him along with the heist. And I think that's pretty much all I could say. But he's part of a trio, and it's Dave and Kurt, which is David Desmouchian and T.I.
And they're all funny because they all have their own personalities.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. But talking about the superheroes, I just interviewed Paul, and he said that he doesn't consider himself as the likely superhero. But because Scott Lang is such an unlikely superhero, I think he was great for it.
I think he was perfect for it. That's right. And I think that's what Marvel did. That I think is I think people are going to be really surprised at his performance, because he is the unlikely hero. So who else to get for an unlikely hero but an unlikely hero? He was an Anchorman. Like when you see him in Anchorman with the 70s attire and then all in polyester, you don't think of superhero right away,
No, absolutely. What was the most challenging thing, would you say, in those films? Because there's so much involved. There's those huge sets and the visual effects, and it's kind of physically daunting as well. So for you, what was the biggest challenge?
For me, it was I'm going to say the humor, because I've done action movies before. And just, you just got to let, be loose a little bit and be okay to act goofy or whatnot. And the accent as well. Like, sometimes I would drop it or, not get it right. I'm like, it didn't sound, like I needed I forgot there was something that I was saying. That's what I'm saying. Or, I don't know. There would be some sayings, in order for me to get back into it, to get back to the character. But it was a tough one to keep consistent.
Yeah, because, it's kind of a roller coaster ride, those films as well.
Yeah, but it's also I'm just saying, technically just the voice and the mannerisms and, always smiling and, like that guy. He's just like, hey.
Having Michael Douglas on a set, how much do you want to pick his brain about his career?
It's cool just to talk to him. I don't really talk too much about acting, because you kind of want to pave your own way. As soon as you start trying to be like somebody else, then I don't think it works out very well. But you got to respect the man for what he did. I'm like, he's a living legend, and it's always good. He's always got a lot of stories. Some of them you can't repeat.
Yes, of course. But I interviewed him, and he seemed to be quite interested in the whole process. For him, this, although his career has been so long and successful, this was a new experience for him, and I think he enjoyed it. Do you think it's important to keep your enthusiasm as an actor, the more experience you get?
Yeah, that's our job, I think. Our job is to, because people can act, but our job is to stay inspired and to be inspired and to really want to act and tell the story. And sometimes it takes, you know, watching a rock concert, or, you know, go to the opera, or, you know, different things, anything to get you inspired, you know, for a particular film, for your work. I mean, I think that's the most important thing, because you can be inspired in the beginning and then not carry it through, and then you're like, meh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It just doesn't infuse you in any way. Tell us a bit about Paul. He's such a nice guy and someone to, you know, probably appreciate, be around. That's my impression, but I haven't worked with him.
Yeah, but you've interviewed him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he is that all-around good guy, and he's a great person to work with, you know. First day, he says, you know, if you want to improv, you can improv. Don't worry about it. And, I mean, I did that for the rest of the shoot.
Really? What kind of things can you improvise? I mean, obviously, there were some scenes which had a lot of humor that you could improvise in, but tell us a little bit about those.
Well, so basically, like, you know, when you're first reading a script and you're like, okay, you know, I got like 10 funny scenes or 10 scenes, and then you read them and you try to see, like, can I make this funnier? Like, what can I make? So you have, you know, they call them alts, but like alternative, like, you know, lines.
Yeah.
So you have like 5 options, 5 lines that you could put right there, 5 lines that you could put right there, and then hopefully they cut all together. And then sometimes they just say, stop, just don't, it's not good. And then you gotta stop. And you can't do it. You just do the same.